That's like a loaded question to me. It really is. Like, explain yourself in 5 words or less, and well, I'm just, going on and, like, just being silly about it. I try not to take things seriously. I mean, like, overall as a person, I really do, and a streamer. I've learned that in the time that I've been streaming is you can't take a lot of things too seriously about it. As in, to get sort of that, it's not theatrics, but to get that atmosphere in a room where it's more of a comfortable sort of thing. A lot of people try to put through a persona and stuff. I guess I always try to promote a very relaxed environment. I try not to take things seriously. Try not to get upset over things. Although in the gaming world, I do take it very personal when I die. I don't know why. I just do. It's I guess it's one of the things that drives me to a better gaming experience in a sense. No, no, I try not to, or else I'll be upset. Yeah, I like to think that I have at least a decent gaming ability when it comes down to it. I'm not the best out there, no, but I've played ranked matches in other games, and I've done pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with some of my accomplishments. Well, yeah, there's a couple of them that keep coming by just to check, has he died yet?
The first question is, how long have you actually been streaming?
How long? It's been about 4 years now. Like, from the start. I did have a period where I did take a very long break because there was a death in the family, and I couldn't. It was just, and it was a hard emotional time, and I couldn't, like, it's a point that I was very depressed, and I did not want that to carry on throughout the channel. So I took a decent, almost a year off before I came back to it.
Yeah, I've heard that advice plenty. If your headspace isn't right, then don't stream.
Yeah,
All right, so 4 years. Wow, that's actually quite a bit of time, isn't it?
yeah. Well, it's on and off a little bit there. I mean,
Yeah,
there was a good year period of just kind of finding what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be as a streamer. I think.
gotcha.
And
So
I think that a lot of us are still figuring that out. Geez, after all this time.
speaking of figuring out what you wanted to do as a streamer, what's your favorite thing that you've found in streaming so far?
The community aspect of it all. You get to know a lot of these. You get to know a lot of people. You get to know a lot of viewers. You get to know a lot of other streamers, and you get an opportunity to meet people around the globe that you wouldn't normally get to meet.
I feel you on that one. Uh, yeah, I think me and you have probably become pretty good friends. At least I consider us to be really, really good friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Okay, so we know your favorite thing. So what's your least favorite thing about streaming?
Believe it or not, it's keeping a schedule. Because my life gets a little bit hectic, and it actually makes it really hard to keep a schedule. And there's sometimes I'm streaming on days that I don't want to stream. I
Mm-hmm.
would like to take care of some of the other obligations I have because I do have limited time, and it has put in stress on the relationship I have with the missus. And I think that's my least favorite thing is the extra stress that comes from it, trying to fit it all in.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's the funny thing too, because I think out of all the streamers I've ever met, you probably are the easiest, or you probably keep the best schedule. Like I pretty much know when you're coming in, when even after stream, like you're like clockwork most of the time. It's great.
Yeah, I very time management orientated, and it comes from working by yourself for yourself. You do have to have that sort of, all right, I got to put time here. I got to be here, 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 here. You kind of get into that clockwork, the regular sort of sauce. I don't know.
Actually, yeah, that's it's not in the questions, but I definitely want to elaborate on this. You speak of working for yourself. A lot of people might not know what you do for a living, so go on and tell them about it.
Oh, I do. I started out doing custom cabinetry for people, and it has progressed into also doing furniture, and it's also getting to the point where I get to do a little bit of artwork and total customization and like a recreation of older styles of furniture for people. So getting into the reproduction sort of sense with it.
Nice.
But I basically cut wood and make sawdust for a living, in the
Makes
short of it.
nice. Yeah, yeah. I still want to see some of your like major work. Do you have any pictures or anything that you could send me and I could possibly toss them into this video?
Oh yeah, I got a couple. I got a couple work pictures I can do. I'm eventually, hopefully, I'm gonna have an Instagram up for the shop, and then one for streaming. It's another thing that's on my list to get things done, but finding time to do it all.
And now that we're back, I love the editing thing, right?
With the magic of movies.
So, what made you actually decide to start streaming?
I think at one point I was watching one of my, well, he wasn't my friend at the time, but now he's one of my like the realization that some of that you watched and you got the idea that you can do this, possibly, maybe, or you like, I like the idea of conveying information with the one of the games, Star Trek Online, and one of the guys that was doing it, as like, he was able to bring in always a large crowd, is Valican. And I got the idea that, I couldn't do what he was doing, but I can definitely take the concept of just taking game knowledge and passing it on. Because Star Trek Online was one of those games that had a lot of what they call tribal knowledge. There's a lot of ins and outs of the game that are kind of simple, but
Mm-hmm.
it isn't in the tutorial unless somebody shows you what to do or where to go get something. There wasn't any real information for it, online. It's just a lot of stuff that was just passed down from player to player.
Yeah, I've met quite a few Star Trek Online players. In fact, you've introduced me to a lot of them. Uh,
Yeah,
Pretty good people, man. Honestly.
yeah. And the overall general, I mean, the guys that play it constantly, it's a grindy game, so you kind of either find people to make it a lot more pleasurable that when you're playing it to hang out with, or you sit there alone and you complain about the bad parts of the game, which that is actually one of the things that you'll find that all Star Trek Online players do is they complain
Mm-hmm.
about the game, although we love it.
And I've noticed the more successful Star Trek Online streamers, actually, that's their entire streams complaining about the game. It's
Yeah,
great.
well, there's a there's a lot wrong with it, but there was a lot, and anybody who's streaming any game and they're complaining about it,
Hmm.
you got to remember they're still playing the game.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's got to be something they love about it.
I think the reason they're complaining about it is because they love it otherwise, so they want it to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it did-
what was that?
go on.
Oh
I was
no,
trying to
no, no.
elaborate, but doesn't matter.
Go for it.
It's like, and I think that also has to do because a lot of the Star Trek Online players believe in like, or they watch the shows and everything, and believe in kind of like, well, if we had this utopia society, these things wouldn't be wrong. They would have been fixed already by somebody who cares.
Oh yeah, and it fits directly into the Star Trek universe too, because I mean, it would have been fixed with it within that universe. Absolutely, I can agree with that. Okay, so what's been the single biggest moment in your streaming career?
My biggest moment. I don't know if I've had a single big moment. Like, um, I've had a lot of little moments that kind of validated what I was doing, and I wouldn't have to say anything like I have like had any huge accomplishment done. I like personal achievements. I came back to it. I think that was one of the big things that I did for myself, and because it was I took a long year off, and I really sat and thought down, and when I came back to it, I almost didn't stick with it because it didn't snowball like it did the first time.
Right. Okay,
But
so the first time when you were streaming, you're saying you had a larger viewership, or?
it was a bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to explain, and maybe because it was like I started with smaller rooms and I got to a decent size kind of quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I don't know if favoritism fell off with the game because I kind of just shut all of Twitch down during that time.
Okay,
But when
so
I
you,
came
you
back, it was a lot slower grind to get numbers back up, and I stuck with it.
gotcha. So you kind of stopped networking, stopped meeting new people while you were gone. Didn't
Yeah.
stop to see anyone. Yeah, okay, I can definitely see
Well,
that
I
being a
kind of
problem.
bopped in. I saw most of the guys that I still was playing the game with, but I wasn't like I didn't have any sort of presence anywhere else besides inside the game.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so what are your ultimate goals overall as a streamer?
Ultimate goals. I mean, it's one of my standard continuing goals is any information that I have via in game, in life, and any sort of situation is just to pass it on. I
Gotcha.
mean, that's I think that's one of the things that I try to keep at the high priority in my stream. Like you have a question, ask it, and if I can answer it, I will. If I don't, I will point you in the direction of somebody who does or better information or at least where to look.
Okay, new nickname, everybody. He's Professor Murdy now. Okay, so if you could give any advice to someone who's just beginning, what would it be?
Stick with it. Like it sometimes it might hurt. It might seem like you're not getting anywhere. But if you're persistent and try to keep smiling, um y- things will come. Things will eventually fall into place. Pay attention to the people around you because they will help. You'll kind of find the pattern that you need to fall in to continue on in your path.
Okay. Would you say trying new things is a good thing or no?
Oh, trying, yeah, all right. New things are good. New things keeps it fresh. The thing to remember is some people are resistant to change if you're not changing all the time. If you like, it's the whole thing of pattern, and going into a little bit of psychological of the world is, people are creatures of habit, and if you take them out of their habits, they get uncomfortable, and when people are uncomfortable, they usually go someplace where they're a little more comfortable.
Okay.
So if you're playing a solid game and you've been playing that for months and you want to change it up, you got to either do it a little at a time or you got to pull off the band-aid and just go for it.
Okay. So, would you say if you wanted to stream multiple games, say play maybe a couple weeks at a time and just like swap between like that? Would that be a good idea?
Um yeah, I mean, well, it's establishing your pattern of it. If you're gonna uh put in gameplay, like if you're gonna put a couple games in, you got to put it into a rotation. And whatever rotation that you pick, like say if you're going to play one game for a week and then switch and do another game for a week and then keep that 1 week pattern. If you're going to do, every 2 days you're switching your game, or you're going to play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one game, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a different game, keep that pattern.
Gotcha.
It's when you change your patterns, you create instability, and people get uncomfortable.
Gotcha. Okay, so speaking of which, so far out of all the games you've streamed, what's your favorite one to stream, not necessarily to play?
Well, 7 Days to Die, because I'm very comfortable with the game, which makes me, I'm more responsive to chat. I can really, I can pay attention to chat.
Hmm. Yeah, and you don't get quite as OCD about it.
Yeah, a little bit of that fancy free attitude, like, oh, it doesn't bother me
Hmm.
sometimes. When it comes to building, sometimes I'm like, it's got to be perfect.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've definitely seen that in your streams. It's one of the things I love about your stream, to be honest, is any building game that you're doing, I can go there and get efficiency tips. It's always good. Okay, so what's your favorite off-stream game or activity?
My favorite off-stream gamer activity. Oh, my favorite activity is hanging out with the missus. That's kind of that's the person that I want to spend the most time with, uh, in the real world. Off-stream games, that will that will change. Anything that can grab my attention for more than 10 minutes, that has somewhat of a depth to it,
Hmm.
you know, I yeah, I really do like complicated games. And like, I did a lot of time on EVE Online because there was just so much in depth to dump into that. But that's a game I couldn't stream because I would be so lost inside of the game wouldn't pay attention to anything else.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we've all seen those games where it just like you laser focus in on the game and you could just forget about chat completely. So
Yeah,
they
which
wouldn't
is
be good ones for
that's
streaming.
not a good thing to do on stream.
Yeah. All right. So when you were growing up, what did you always want to be?
Well, that changed a couple times.
Okay,
I
so
guess
tell us all of them.
I mean, at one point in time, well, everybody wanted to be a fireman at one point in time,
Hmm.
which, that's the young little friggin'
I think firemen and
crazy Bernie with an
astronauts.
axe. Yeah. And then there was a point where actually I wanted to uh, become a pilot, and I wanted to try to either get into like an airline or do the cream of the cream would be fighter jets, but
Hmm.
there's something that held me back, and I didn't realize that until later on in life.
Yeah. Didn't you
I
say
actually
you're
got
basically trained for helicopter piloting?
I have passed all my ground courses for to get my pilot's license, and I did train in the simulator for helicopters. So I'm technically ground trained to fly
Mm-hmm.
small like Cessnas and helicopters because that's one of the big things in the area that I live in is we have Sikorsky around the corner. And we were all brought up with the knowing that this was the town of the birthplace of the helicopter.
Gotcha. That's interesting, actually. Um, so yeah, is that one of the reasons why you like playing games that tend to have a lot of flying vehicles like Space Engineers and Empyrean and things like that?
Yep. Yeah, I have a decent flight skill. You know,
I've noticed.
because I've been playing flight simulators and doing any sort of piloting since like I played Flight Sim 1. I've been doing it since maybe 16,
Nice.
doing all the flight simulators. So
So I'm guessing if you got a VR setup, it would be mostly flying games.
mm, possibly I did the it would make it easier with all the instrument controls and stuff like that, be able to look around at them.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, you actually have a full flight setup, don't you, for controllers?
I gotta get a HOTAS system. The way I usually fly is I
Oh yeah,
have
the
one of the
trackball.
oldest joysticks that you can actually possibly have that will
Oh
still work.
wow.
It's a Sidewinder.
Yeah, I was about to
And
say, isn't that a
actually,
sidewinder?
yep, and the Sidewinders were excellent for helicopter flight because of the throttle control on the side. So they
Nice.
give you opportunities to feather the throttle, which makes it a lot easier to fly a chopper in game.
Speaking of which, there's something a lot of people might not already know about you. You like to use the trackball for everything, don't you?
Yep, I use a trackball. It's because I have two trackballs. I have a thumb trackball and I have a finger one. They're both Logitechs. Well, actually, one of them is Logitech and one of them is actually the Microsoft thumb ball, which Logitech did make a copy of, which I am trying to get
Is that
because this
the
one's slowly
the
dying.
Logitech? Isn't that the big black one with like the marble ball? If I remember correctly.
Oh, the first model was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, I can't actually pull it. I was gonna try to yank it up, but I don't have enough. But I do use the trackballs because I'm prone to having tendonitis.
Gotcha.
So and it makes it a lot easier. I can play for longer, and I don't have to worry as much for wrist position when I'm using the trackballs instead of with a mouse. So you got to be very careful so
Mm-hmm.
you don't irritate it.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day on video editing. The guy that does Linus Tech Tips, and that dude has like so much specialized gear, mainly because of tendonitis. But like, actually, I got to show you that sometime off stream. He's got like the craziest setup you've ever seen. You think we like hotkeys and things? No. He's got like
anytime you
8 macro pads.
Yeah, anytime you can limit your motion with your wrist,
hmm
it becomes so much easier.
Yeah. Okay, so are there any clips that you want to send in or anything? You want to set those up?
Yeah, I can probably. Well, there. I'm gonna send you probably one of the clips that just shows how when I stop overthinking something and just let my fingers do the talking, how efficient I can be with a pistol. Um, It's one of the one of the games I was trying to stream it. I stopped because chat was suffering horribly with Rings of Elysium and why you don't kill my partner when we first start off. I even picked up a grenade. Motherfuckers, fuck you.
What's
Probably
that?
the other one is the reason why I like the bow so much in 7 Days to Die. I get really good with using the bow. She's very happy up there. Alright, let's see. I don't know what the exact distance on the bow is anymore. Talking about. God damn. That was luck. I'm gonna admit that, alright?
Yeah, I was about to ask you, how do you feel about the changes to the bow?
I do like them. I do like how each bow feels differently now, and that they don't all feel the same.
Okay.
It really does feel like upgrades when you get them, and you're excited to get them.
Yeah, I think they've done a lot of that in 18. To be honest, they've done a really good job of actually you feel progression as you go.
Yeah, you feel progression, but they don't feel like they're being well, you don't feel like they're being handed to you,
Mm-hmm.
and they also feel like they're coming at just about the time you need them too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like as you push on further in the days, it's not getting easier. It's staying about the same, and it is challenging you, and you've got to stay on your toes.
Oh, I totally agree on that. They've done a wonderful job on it this time, and in fact, I think I'm gonna be interviewing Kumquat maybe for next week. So, well, I'll make sure that we
Awesome.
let him know that. Okay, so I think that's it. Unless you want to add anything, you want to say anything personal to everyone, you want to ask questions for chat or anything like that, or for the YouTube comments or anything.
Add anything. Stay positive always. Try to at least. I know it's not always possible, but if you're smiling, people will come and smile with you.
I've
Um,
noticed you're pretty good about that.
yeah, even I've had some pretty bad days where you wouldn't know it, and I just put on the smile, and you know what? Just wearing that actually helps, believe it or not. So sometimes when you don't feel like doing it, it's better if you do.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you for coming. And if you guys haven't checked out Madmurdy6, then you've been living under a rock. You need to go check him out. He's one of the chillest guys you'll ever meet in your life. So absolutely go by and show him some love. He's actually got my Twitch Prime sub, and he knows how much that I consider that means. So, and he will always have it because he's just that good of a guy.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy. And thank you once again for coming in. I do appreciate it.
No problem. Take care, guys.